to get to a super wild card weekend prediction segment. So, guys, we'll just get through this one real quickly so then Toddy and I can close things out with some college football and NBA. First game of the weekend, and I will just say this real quickly. These predictions are not binding. We take our stats over politics graphics. Yes, this is definitely a rough draft because we take our SOP pick them very seriously. So if anyone decides to change their mind before Friday, I say Friday is the deadline, so Kevin has some time to put together the graphics before the game on Saturday. I don't blame y'all. And so just starting out, first game of the weekend, the Chargers play at the Texans Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Toddy, who you picking and why in 30 seconds or less?
Chargers are favored by 3 points. I like the Chargers in this game. I think they've been playing well. They're on a 4-game winning streak going into the playoffs. The Texans have been limping for the past however many weeks due to injury. I mean, they lost Tank Dell. They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost a lot of key components to their offense. C.J. Stroud has not been what he have hoped and known for him to be throughout this entire second year of his. They are at home, so they have a chance to win. But they are going to be home dogs on Saturday. But give me the Chargers.
Kaz, what about you?
Chargers. I mean, Toddy kind of said it best. I mean, they've been limping. Texans have been limping. I like the way that LA's been playing as of lately. People kind of forgot about Justin Herbert and how good that dude actually is at quarterback, and I think that he's going to remind the league, I once was a guy who was putting up damn near 5,000 yards in a season. So, yeah. Now I got Lab McConkey. They just now, I'm not sure if you guys saw, they elevated Zeke Elliott up to the practice squad. They have Zeke. Yep.
Who has Zeke?
The Chargers, yes. Cowboys cut him.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I just saw that not too long ago. Not that really would matter, but they have a solid defense.
Game changer.
They could beat a team like the Texans right now. I think they must beat a team like the Texans.
Yeah, and I would love to be the devil's advocate. I mean, I love C.J. Stroud. Dating back to his days at Ohio State, I was always a C.J. Stroud advocate when he wasn't beating Michigan, when they lost to Georgia in the semifinals. Everyone's talking so much shit about C.J. Stroud. Then we saw what he did as a rookie, and everyone's like, oh, he's amazing. I've always been a C.J. Stroud fan ever since he first came to Ohio State. I love DeMeco Ryans, dating back to his days as a 49ers coach. But for he's a jolly good fellow, that's what they say. And they do that chant in the Chargers locker room after every win. And talk about building a culture. That's exactly what Jim Harbaugh has done. And he has everyone on that team buying in. And now the fact that the Chargers have not one, but 2 running backs from The Ohio State University, give me the Chargers in this one.
So I called next the Chargers game playoffs for the preseason preview. Called it.
Nice job.
You also said that Caleb Williams was the top.
Hey, we ain't got to talk about
it. Kaz, this next game, the other one from Saturday, the Steelers play at the Ravens in Baltimore in an AFC North playoff matchup, but Baltimore is favored by 10 points in this one.
I'm going to laugh my ass off when Baltimore loses this game, but they're not going to lose. But I'm going to laugh my ass off when they lose, but they're not going to lose. Yeah, like I said earlier, Pittsburgh is just – they're looking quite fraudulent right now, but there's going to be an upset. We know it's there. There's going to be a big upset, wild card week. It could be this game. If it is a game, it's going to be this game, but I got to stick with the Ravens, man. Just too hot right now. And if Zay returns, which I don't think he will, I think that they're just kind of trying to make people feel good and confident going to the playoffs. But seeing the way he was holding his knee, that looked like it was significant. That didn't look like you got to come out the game for just 1 week. He'll be back. And if he does, he'll be probably questionable. So, but no, King Henry, Lamar playing at MVP caliber level yet again. They don't really need much to take down this Steelers team. This Steelers team they've shown signs of being, obviously really, really competitive, but they did it in the regular season. I think that now it's time for the big dogs to win. So I'm going Baltimore.
Toddy, who you got?
Ravens are favored by 9.5 points. Give me the Ravens to win and cover. They're going to beat the shit out of the Steelers. I just don't. It's the flame has died a little bit. Like when Russ first came in, after Justin Fields was starting those first couple of games, I think he went like undefeated. Everybody was like, "We need a change. Can't push the ball down the field." Russell Wilson, I believe, came in. Forget which game that was where he came in. Like he had a really bad series. They were booing him, and then he just starts throwing bombs. Everybody loves him. These past couple of weeks have not been endearing to the Steelers. I don't know if you guys saw the interview with George Pickens about asking about him and Russell Wilson not being on the same page. Thought that was hilarious. And they were like, who said that? Russ said that. And then he just put a shiesty on and just didn't say anything after. So I think Lamar and those boys are going to be rolling Derrick Henry back into the playoffs. He's going to have something to prove. Don't be afraid to take Derrick Henry to score 2 touchdowns in this game. But I do think the Ravens are going to win and they're going to cover. Last year, they were favored in their first home game against the Texans. I believe they were like closer to 10-point favorites in that game, and they ended up covering with pretty much ease in that game as well. I do see the same thing happening in this game. I get their divisional opponents, so but I just think the Steelers aren't where they need to be offensively to be able to keep up with the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. And to me, if the Ravens had this exact same roster without Derrick Henry, insert whatever other running back you want, aside from maybe like Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey, then I would probably think that the Steelers have a much better chance of upsetting them. But this Ravens team, especially later in the season, has been much different with Derrick Henry. When Derrick Henry ended up on the Ravens, I was just like, this is a match made in heaven. And if there was ever a year, I know that the Bills and the Chiefs, they're legit. But if there was ever a year for the Ravens to go deep in the playoffs and actually get to the Super Bowl, this is the year. So I do think that the Steelers are on fraud alert. Sorry, Gary. Sorry, Cordell. But, I mean, like Kat said, it would be hilarious if the Ravens actually got upset in this game. And I wouldn't honestly be surprised if the Steelers won this game, just because it's a division matchup. But to me, this is the Ravens' year to get to the Super Bowl. I'm saying that early. I'm saying it now. And so they got to get past the super wildcard weekend, as that takes us to Sunday, Jaevon. And I think that this matchup is going to be better than some people think, as the Broncos play at the Bills, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep going on the gambler aspect of it. The Bills are favored by 8.5 in this game. Seems like a big number. I think it's going to come down to Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, in a playoff game in Buffalo, hostile territory. I think the Bills probably win and they probably cover in this game. I just think the Bills are a little bit. It's going to be overwhelming for the Broncos. I do think the Broncos will probably try to make it a game early on, and this will be something that the Bills end up pulling away with late. I think Bo Nix has shown us that he's as good as that. He's really the guy that's the top 15 quarterback that I keep talking about. But I do think experience does play a huge factor in it. I think a lot of people aren't talking about the coaching matchup. I think Sean Payton has a coaching advantage in this game, given what he's been able to do in previous situations. Last time he was in the playoffs, I mean, hell, Drew Brees was quarterback, but this is a guy who's been starring in multiple playoff games, obviously won a Super Bowl. I do think Sean Payton has the coaching advantage, but obviously the gap in quarterback play, I would say, between Josh Allen and Bo Nix it's pretty big. So give me the Bills to win this game, win and cover.
Kaz, who do you got in this matchup of Shaun versus Shaun head coaches?
Bills at home all day. I think there'll be flashes of some greatness from Bo Nix. I could foresee him we saw, I think it was against, I don't even know who it was against. They came back, almost won, which would have been huge. What was that game 2 weeks ago? God, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. The Bengals. He was balling, man. It was just like immediate response to everything the Bengals was doing. And I'm not a believer in the Bills. I think Josh Allen is single-handedly carrying that team 110%. You subdue Josh Allen, you win. So I think that it could be a very good game. But, yeah, I mean, Bo Nix, I'm probably going to eat these words because you know what? This is what I was saying about Bo Nix early on. I was like, yeah, he's a rookie, though. Yeah, what if he just got it like that, man? What if he really just goes out there and says, man, fuck this shit. Fuck it. Because he's that kind of quarterback. He's shown it all season long, even though guys like me, I've doubted him the entire time. So I just think that he'll show signs of being great, but at the end of the day, there'll be a little bit of home field advantage. Who knows? There might be a blanket of snow all over that stadium like it usually is during the playoffs, just to kind of make things a little more difficult. And then on top of that, just Josh Allen. I think that it's just going to be an unfortunate game for the Broncos. So I hope it is good. I can foresee it being, like a 27-24 type game, but it'll probably be a blowout. Bills.
I think it's going to be a single-digit game. The Bills are favored by 9 in this one, and I do think that it's going to be single digits, maybe even a one-score game. I mean, it's not saying much because single digits, one-score game is 8 points, just like we saw in the Buccaneers and Saints game. But as Toddy said earlier, I think that the Broncos keep it competitive and close early on. And Kaz, to your point, Bo Nix had a lot of experience in college, and that's what led to Sean Payton loving him so much. And the Broncos, they are currently eating hella dead money because of Russell Wilson, and they were able to get to the playoffs despite that because of the play of Bo Nix. And for all of my family who live in Boulder, Colorado, shout out to them. I know that Broncos country is very, very happy, but unfortunately, I think the ride comes to an end this weekend in Buffalo. All right, Kaz, I'm tossing it to you first on this one, and we know that Kevin is picking the Eagles. Are you picking the Eagles at home against the Packers?
We're winning.
Okay.
We're winning. Okay. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. This defense, man. Dude, these guys are not playing no game. Like, I don't care about the offense. I don't care. We know Saquon's going to do what he's going to do. If Hurts comes back and he's a little off a little bit, we've won games where we've been winning games with him throwing the ball 22 times, like handily. This defense is going to need a true challenge. It ain't Green Bay. I know they got some guys that can make some plays. This defense is just too much right now. And they lost Christian Watson, which isn't a big deal because he's not even their primary receiver. Let's just call it what it is. But Jaden Reed has kind of been on the decline this season for some reason, like showing up multiple weeks, like putting up barely any, like getting either no catches or a catch. He's had a couple of games this year that where it's like, yo, what happened to you? Dontavian Wicks has been playing solid. And who's the other guy? Not Christian Watson, outside of Christian Watson. They have one more. Thank you, Romeo Doubs. It's been more the Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks show over Jaden Reed, who's their primary guy. I do like their tight end. Obviously, Josh Jacobs he's a good freaking running back, but all bias aside, they're going against too tough of a defense, man. Chauncey got ejected in the Washington game, bro. I mean, these guys, you think we're gonna just pillow fight with these cats? No, absolutely not. I think that it's gonna be. I don't think our offense is going to do much. I think it might be like we might score about 20, maybe. But I think we hold the Packers to maybe 14. So just going with the Eagles win simply because our defense is going to be too much for that Packers offense, 110%. If I'm wrong on this, we're still going to win, and that's because we're going to do something we haven't done all season long on offense, and that is have Jalen Hurts thread the needle and go for like 250 plus and a couple touchdowns. But that's not going to happen. We're not going to change anything moving in the playoffs. We're going to do the same old. Saquon's going to get his touches. Defense going to show up and win it for us. Guaranteed it.
Toddy, who you got?
I think the Eagles win this game. They're favored by 4 points. I'm not sure if they cover the spread. I'll probably hold off on that. I do think it'll be a closer matchup than a lot will think. I do think the quarterback matchup is pretty neck and neck. I think the running back matchup Although Saquon is the best running back in the league, I still think Josh Jacobs is very good. I don't know how good the Packers defense is going to be able to hold up in this game due to the injury that they do have to Jair Alexander on the outside. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. The first game that they played at the beginning of the year was pretty good. It was a shootout, although it was in Brazil, which was kind of weird. Terrible field out there. But I do think the Eagles will probably figure out a way to win at the link. I feel like they're the more talented team offensively and defensively. And I feel like Jalen Hurts is going to figure out a way to get this win. Don't know if they cover. They might sneak out a win by 3 points. But I do think the Eagles win.
Sticking with the unanimous theme of our picks, I also have the Eagles. I would love to be a hater, but I said this a couple of weeks ago in the game in which the Eagles played at Washington before Jalen Hurts goes out with a concussion. But the Eagles are elite, and I don't use that word lightly. But to me, the Eagles and the Lions are elite. I'm always going to give the Chiefs their respect, and I'm going to put the Ravens in that conversation too. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far with the Bills. And so I actually think that the Eagles win this game by double digits. It's probably more so just the fact that I'm such a believer in the Eagles rather than anything that has to do with the Packers. And it really like turns my stomach a little bit to say this about the Eagles, but this is stats over politics. Like, I'm just going to give my honest opinion rather than politicking and hating on the Eagles. The Eagles are legit. The Eagles are going to win this game by double digits. If by somehow, some way, Jalen Hurts doesn't play in this game, then that's when I think it'll be closer. But I still got the Eagles winning, even if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. Which,
that might be tough.
No, like legitimately, I just think, as Cass said, this Eagles defense is nasty, and so it's like if they can force Jordan Love or even a Malik Willis, if Jordan Love's injury is bad enough, and this is the playoffs, so guys play through things. Concussion, you got to be cleared, so it's not really an injury that you can grit your way through. But I think that the Eagles are going to win this game, and I got them by double digits because the Eagles have just proven time and time again throughout this season that they are legit, and they're not just some great team. They are elite, and that's why I got the Eagles by double digits in this one. And we got two more games from Super Wildcard Weekend, and this is the first one where I think that we may differ a little bit because right now we have been unanimous across the board with all of our picks. We got the Commanders at the Buccaneers, and I'm going to start things off. And unfortunately, I'm not going with my guy Mike Evans or Baker Mayfield. I'm going with the Washington Commanders in this one. And it's because I'm just such a believer in Jaden Daniels and also just the culture and the team that has been built in Washington this year. And besides the Chargers winning in Houston against the Texans, there has to be more than just one road team to win. And this is a road team that I see winning, probably also the next matchup that we're going to get to. But I'm going to go with the Commanders in this one. Toddy, what about you?
This is a game I kind of went back and forth on. Looking back on these two teams played earlier in the season. I think it was the second game of the year. The way I've seen Jaden Daniels come on these past couple games of the year, he's led multiple game-winning drives. He's been a guy that will will his team to a victory. And I'm kind of looking at the Bucs. Although they did win the division, I didn't like what I saw in the first half against that Saints team. And given the fact I have lost an abundance amount of money betting against Jaden Daniels throughout this season, I'm probably going to end up going with the Commanders. Commanders are dogs in this game. They're 3-point underdogs as well. I think plus 165 on the money line. This game could go back and forth. I do see a scenario where the Bucs could just do what they did to Jaden Daniels early on in the season and kind of just, limit him, put a spy on him, and just try and keep him within the pocket and not let him get outside of the tackle box. And just giving it to Bucky Irving, throwing it to Mike Evans, and Jalen McMillan, who's came along in, the absence of Chris Godwin. He's been a guy that's been an X factor for this team as well. So I just like the Commanders because I just think the quarterback play in the playoffs is going to be tenfold, and you're going to rely on your quarterback even more in these tight situation games. So I'm going to roll with the Commanders here.
Kaz, are you going to keep this unanimous streak going?
No, I'm not. Because I've seen what the Buccaneers can do to a team in the playoffs last year.
Oh.
I also seen what the Buccaneers can do to a team this season. We just talked about the Philadelphia Eagles being a good team. Actually, you said the word was elite.
Yes,
that elite
correct.
team got their ass whooped by the Bucs. I'll be the first to say I don't want to see the Bucs in the playoffs. Because Todd Bowles has Jalen Hurts figured the fuck out. I think he does the same thing against Jaden Daniels. Baker's going to go out there. Baker's going to play the way he's been playing all season long very well. This Bucs team is at home. Let's just talk about that for a second. Washington's hitting the road. Ain't like they're in DC. They're on the road against a team that is coming off a fresh playoff win and has beaten good opponents. I like Jaden Daniels. I think that he's a good quarterback. I'm pissed that he's in my division. It is what it is. But I think that this playoff football, man. Everybody that knows anything about NFL it's a different beast. And I understand wild card round. We're picking a lot of favorites here, but there's going to be an upset or two. And I think that this is one. I think what are the Bucs favored, right? They favored or they slight dogs?
Yeah, by 3.
Fair by 3, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that. I think that's fair. What are you going to do? It's nice when Jaden Daniels puts up, 4 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, but Baker Mayfield will do the exact same thing. So that's the thing. So I'm going with the Bucs here. I think that they'll outcoach the Commanders and they'll handle business at home.
Finally, on Monday Night Football, the final Monday Night Football game of the season. As you all might have noticed, we started at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this week. That will be a common occurrence going forward, except for next Monday, where obviously we got to have the podcast after Super Wildcard Weekend concludes. And so next Monday, we'll be back at 8:30. This game starts at 5 rather than 5:30, but we'll probably be around next week starting at about 8:30. After that, catch us every Monday at 7 p.m. To get to the actual matchup, Vikings at the Rams. Dan Campbell said to Kevin O'Connell, hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks. If Toddy and I are correct and the Commanders win, then that matchup wouldn't be possible. But I still think that the Vikings are going to win. I think that, the Vikings had 14 wins. That's third best in the NFL, only behind the Lions and the Chiefs. And if they were in any other division aside from the AFC West or their own NFC North, then they would be division winners. They would have a home playoff game. And the fact that the Vikings play in a dome, a climate-controlled stadium, just like SoFi Stadium is in Inglewood, they already know what it's like to play on turf in a stadium with a roof. And so they're able to prepare. It's not like they even have to go out into the sun in Tampa Bay, even though it's January. They don't have to go to the cold in Philadelphia. And I think that the Vikings, even though to Kaz's point from earlier, they seem to crumble when the lights are the brightest, but this is the wild card round. This isn't the divisional round. This isn't the conference championship. And so I think Sam Darnold bounces back and the Vikings win this game. Justin Jefferson is going to have himself a huge game in this one to redeem himself from Week 18. And I got the Vikings winning this one. Not by double digits. It's going to be a competitive game, but I got the Vikings winning this one. Kaz, what about you?
I'm prematurely, because this is just today, I'm picking the Vikings. Picking the Vikings, I had that feeling. It's like they've been winning games, but we have not really seen Justin Jefferson like silently had a good season. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't finding the end zone, nothing crazy. For a couple weeks there, it was a Jordan Addison show. But Justin Jefferson has silently had a really good season. And the reason why I say silently is because we're used to this motherfucker putting up like 1,500 plus. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an average season for him when you go well over the 1,500 yard mark as a wide receiver. This year, more of a downish year for him. Nothing too crazy. Obviously, Jamar Chase getting the triple crown, so he obviously didn't get him in yards. But like, I just think that we're due, man. We're due. Just you guys know what I'm talking about. That Justin Jefferson game where it's like nobody can stop this guy. He's grittying everywhere. He's scoring multiple touchdowns. He's going off for 190 to 200 yards receiving. And if it's not that, I just think that we're past to just all around, well-rounded game from just Minnesota. You can't come off of a stinker of a matchup like you had last week, and then just show up in the playoffs and lay another egg. You just can't do that. So I think that the Rams are more than happy to be there. I think that Seattle would have put up a better fight personally because I was high on Seattle. But I'm going to go with the Vikings for right now. I think that they're just past due. Simple as that.
All right, Toddy, who do you got in this one? Are you going to make it unanimous with the road team, the Minnesota Vikings? Well, you're muted, so now unmute yourself, please.
I got guys. So I'm looking right here. I see so the Vikings are -1.5 favorites. So this is more lines of a pick 'em. I like the Ramley here, guys. I'm looking here at Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp. They were about to blow this team up once upon a time during the regular season. They go on an insane run. They beat the Niners. They beat Seattle, I believe it was. And they start winning a bunch of division games. They just kind of go on a run. Sean McVay is out there coaching the boys up. I think last week is yesterday. Last night, I think foreshadowed what we may or may not see from Sam Darnold going into the playoffs. This is Sam Darnold's first ever playoff game. A lot of people aren't talking about that. Matt Stafford has been on a couple of playoff runs and has won a Super Bowl. I think Puka Nacua is one of the better receivers in the league. I think Cooper Kupp will show up in playoff moments. I think Kyron Williams was stat-wise, he was third in rushing. Third in the whole entire league. And I think that kind of gets swept under the rug because obviously we talk about Saquon. He had 2,000 yards this year, which is pretty good. But I think, Kyron Williams stood out in, a lot this season. And I think once upon a time, guys, this was the same team that beat the Minnesota Vikings earlier this year. Now, I think it was on they had a short week going into it.
Yep. It was right after they lost their first game.
Yeah, so that might play a role into it, but I feel like and I think there was a crazy call that there was a face mask that didn't get called in that game or something against Sam Darnold. But I think the Rams, they're at home. How much of a home game is it going to be? Because there's probably going to be a bunch of Vikings fans there. I think the Rams won this game. I'm going with Stafford. I'm going with the better quarterback, in my opinion. I think both of you guys could agree with me. Stafford's probably the better quarterback.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna roll with. I'm gonna pick the Rams here.
All right, I like it. And with that concludes our NFL segment for this week.